Hi there, and welcome to my first ever live premiere. Now, the video itself may be taped, but the interaction between you and I is not. It's going to be live. I'm going to be here. I'm not one of those people that do a premiere and don't show up to their own premiere. Sure, I'm not wearing a tux. I'm wearing tie-dye because, well, that's what I do, and that's what I feel comfortable in. And this whole thing is about being comfortable. So I want you guys to relax. I want you to share your information back and forth, interact with each other, because that's what this is about. I want you to feel free to ask questions. I'm going to answer them the best I can. Now, I don't get excited about much. I really don't. But I'm really excited about doing this premiere. See, I'm passionate about breeding fish. I breed barbs, shubunkins, I bred koi, and I'm up for breeding just about any egg layer. As far as breeding Shubunkins, that's a whole different story. They're easy enough to breed, but keeping the parents from eating them, that's a different story. And with Shubunkins, it's not just the pattern, it's the coloring that you want to look for. It's the shape, body shape, it's the tail. So culling is the all important thing to get big, beautiful adult Shubunkins. Now, I hope that you think my Shubunkins are of high quality. I do, and I have uh, several places that are interested in obtaining them. So I'm going to take you through the process. It's a long, drawn-out process. I'll try to make it as fun as possible, but it's painstaking and it's slow, but it's well worth it in the end because you want high-quality fish. And this goes for all types of fish, whether it's breeding barbs or cichlids. You don't just looking for the color, you're looking for deformity or anything else that you don't want to pass along. And I'm doing that with my Shubunkins. Now, you'll see some of them while they've gone back to their natural or look, as in the wild version. And those I can't keep, along with the plain white ones. Now I keep the odd one just because some people want a plain white Shubunkin, but the vast majority will be culled off, and my culls all go to a local fish store. Some will be sold for people that just want the lower grade Shubunkins for their tanks, and some unfortunately will become feeder fish. It's not the most pleasant thing in the world, but it's got to be done. And I don't have the room to raise thousands and thousands of fries, so I really have to dwindle my numbers down. Now I'm contemplating keeping almost all the good ones uh, throughout the summer and raising them up. That means I'll be raising up well over 100 fish. I would normally sell off most, but I think I'm going to grow them up. Sure, the premium interest and the best time to sell them is in the spring when everyone wants them for the pond. But I think I'm going to hold off. Uh, Let me know what you think. But I'm leaning to growing them even more in the spring and the summer, and then selling them off in the fall when, well, larger fish get more money. Yeah, I know they eat more food, but plus it gives me that much more time to see how they develop. Well, I hope you will enjoy this video as much as I'm enjoying putting it out there. And again, feel free to interact with each other, ask questions back and forth. If you have something coming up, feel free to let people know. I encourage that. So let's take this trip. I hope you enjoy it. So let's get to get working. A lot of work to be done on these calls. I hope you find it as interesting as I do. Stay tuned. Let's first look at what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a definite strong pattern. Obviously, you know I really like elongated fins, and I'm trying to make that a trademark. along with the patterning. I've been working on some blues as of late. As you can see here, I think I've got that down. I now have to intensify the reds. I want more reds in my Shubunkins, and I want them to be a brilliant color. As I said in the preview, some of them I'm trying to get more of a koi appearance, like a showa or sanke, being a three-colored fish with predominantly, well, with koi anyways, they're white, black, and red, and depending on the pattern, whether it's a sanke or a showa. For these guys, I'm trying to get, definite patterns, and as you will see as we go through this process, that I've got some of those developing already in last year's fry and hopefully in this year's as well. Now, as you can see, these tails are really long, and that's what I'm going for. These guys I pulled out some time ago. They're predominantly white and translucent. Now, some of the translucent ones actually will turn into a bluish color, but I've held these guys back long enough to realize these guys really aren't going anywhere. Now, some of them have picked up a little bit of coloring. I'll keep a few of those to sell off. Some will probably be ready to be sold off very shortly. Those ones I'll let go in the spring. The vast majority of these guys I will send off as culls. I'll show you some of the deformities that I was referring to earlier, and some of the wild strain that I don't want to carry on the trait. These guys here, most of these I will keep. I've already culled through those very early on. That was done actually in the fall as I was bringing them in. And I saw something in these guys that may have some interest. So the vast majority of these guys will stay on. Now, I said earlier that I'll probably keep 100, probably be closer to 150 time I'll keep. And I'll definitely move some on right away in the spring that I know I don't want to enhance anymore, that they're as good as they're going to get, and I'm okay with that. Taking a look at we'll definitely take a closer look at these guys, and I'll show you a couple examples of what I'm looking for and what I'm not. Now, I have several tanks on the go here right now. The main thing is I have to do is separate, organize. That's probably one of the toughest things to do with culling. And I'll take you through each step by step of that. Now, this will be one of the toughest tanks just because of the density of it, and there's just so many to go through. So this would be the really important one to be done, because there's probably a few gems in there that I haven't seen yet, so we'll have to take a really close look. I think you'll enjoy this process on this particular tank. Believe it or not, my best Shubunkins will go in this tank once we're done today. Well, let the fun begin. I'm going to first take out the ones that are definitely going to be culled and sent off to the pet store. I'll also be taking out some fully grown, well, not fully grown, but ones that are saleable size that I will not be keeping. Start off with a good sized one like this. That's a good 3 inches already. There's actually some nice fish in here, but I got to get these culls out first. Yeah, this is pretty exciting stuff, eh? But it's all part of the process here. I got to talk to the guy who designed this setup. It's not the easiest to work out of. Stub. Nice going. So many in this tank just to take out right away. Yeah, fishy, 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 fishy. Backbreaking work, but see just how small these guys are in this tank. These ones were called, or early called, and I decided to keep a few just because I was hoping some of them would turn out. I already sent 3 batches of call away long ago, but I decided to keep a few just to see how they would turn out. These guys, unfortunately didn't get premium feed because I just can't afford to feed them all premium feed. They, got fed on a regular basis, like every single day, but they didn't get as much brine shrimp as the other guys. Food prices quickly add up. This guy here's got a dead spine. I'll show you him later. You get quick at this, especially after I was taught at Vandermeer's. I got to work there for a few summers once I had retired with my friend Terry, who runs the fisheries program at Vandermeer's. And I got to call koi, which you had to learn how to spot these guys quick and move on because you're doing thousands upon thousands of calls a day. A couple, well, hidden gems. But let's go have a look, see if we can find any. What I'm looking for in these fish are any deformities and some bright colors. Now these were not my initial best picks. These are ones that I've kept in hopes that something would, come out of it. And I think there's some real good quality ones that are left in here, and I'm just going to sort them uh, to the best ones that I think may stay in here. And this is going to be a long process, but well worth it, especially in the end when you have a really good show fish that you already went through one of your first group of culls. Part of being prepared is I've had to set up a few buckets that I've got covered just so they can't jump, but most of them are for culls, and the odd one is for fish that I'm going to keep. This guy here looks like a beautiful fish. Nice long tail, great coloring, but if we look closely, if you turn around, he's got what I call a frog head, or what my friend Terry would call a frog head. See how blunt it is at the first, or see how blunt it is at the front? Uh, Now, it'll be fine. I just won't put a lot of money and effort into growing this one up. Will I cull it? Probably not. Will it make a pond grade fish. Yeah, someone will take it, but I'm not gonna keep it. Even though it's got beautiful markings, the fins are gonna be great, but its head is just way too short for the rest of the body. It's just, pardon the expression, it's pug nose. So, you know, it's got a pug face, and yeah. So now this guy here is really disappointing. It's going to have really nice coloring, but if you look, it's got a bent tube at the back, just before the tail. And what will happen with that fish, as it gets bigger, it'll put more pressure on that deformity, and it'll have a hard time swimming. So that'll have to be culled right now. And unfortunately, I won't be keeping that at all. And this guy, I can't sell at all. It's missing an eye. This will go right to the cull pile or cull bucket. This guy here, I keep calling them guys. I have no idea what sex they are at the moment. Is, well, it's basically the wild strain of this particular fish, being it's part of the carp family, and it'll probably stay that color. If it was more of a darker black color, there's a good chance it'd be turn orange and would come out to be a comet. But this is another cull. Now that I showed you a wild strain, would you keep this? Well, yeah, it's not going to be the wild strain. Those are actually colors in behind there, and that'll come out. Now, it's not going to be your top grade fish, but it will be an interesting Shubunkin. There's nothing wrong with its body shape, head, so we're going to keep this one. Take a look at this little guy. There is absolutely nothing wrong with him other than, well, he's small. Pardon the expression, he's the runt of the litter. Will I keep him? Sure will. I'll feed him up, and you'd be surprised how well some of them grow. Anything you notice about this fish? Yep, one black, one blue eye. Well, I guess it's going to be a husky fish. Now, some purists wouldn't keep this, but I kind of think it looks neat, so I'll be keeping it. You gotta remember, I've been moving these guys around, so the coloring on these are right now is not great. Just they're under some stress, obviously. Some big ox trying to catch them a few times over. And I'll show you 4 fish. Would you keep any of these? No. Either going to be translucent. I see bent tails or tubes, which is really a shame on this one with the red at the end. But that's all part of the fish breeding, and especially with the Shubunkins, is you just have a lot of deformities and a lot of culls, unlike other fish where there's not as many deformities. People that raise koi run into the same issue. What I'm looking for is something with some colors, either clean, clear white, or some nice deep reds, or some blues. Also looking for patterns. I think I've got all the ones with deformities out, but until you get a closer look, it's really hard to tell. Apparently my glass isn't as clean as I thought it was. Just give this a second to focus in. What we're looking for is the white on this small little fish. It's really clean and clear. It's really hard to tell right now with everything moving around so quickly. Can you see the dark colors in behind that should come out when it gets a little bit older? And there's a nice hidden red in there that will definitely come out. This would be a nice fish. The fish below it isn't that bad either. It's got some nice darkness to it. It's going to have a nice pattern. Both are going to be some keepers. Okay, there's something I see in this one. It's got a really nice body shape. The black is going to be phenomenal, like out of this world. And same with the blue. It's got a nice red on the head, like a toncho. Yeah, this is going to be a cool fish. It's definitely a keeper. Well, the rest part of this is going to be really easy for me. Unless I see something really eye-popping, all these guys here will go into one of the 15-gallon tanks. That means I get to look at them for another few months, and then I can make another decision if I'm keeping more or if there's a few more culls in there. Well, we're just about done moving all the fish. Shortly we'll see how we made out. Bit of eye strain. I normally don't wear glasses, but I put her on readers for trying to get up close and taking a real good look, because even after 3 calls, I still missed a lot. And once you look inside and see some more of the calls, in fact, I was ready to put a couple back in tanks and didn't realize what I'd missed.
Who can spot what I missed? These were about to go into the tank, and I was going to keep all these. Yep, you guessed it. Another bent tube. See ya? Darn. These guys are all culls, unfortunately. Now, will I get any money for these guys? No, I won't. But I'll take them to the local fish store, and what I will do is get goodwill for maybe my next purchases, that they'll remember that I brought them in free feeder fish. And that goes a long ways, especially when you're building trust between you and your local fish store. So I recommend that you bring them in, not worry about trying to pick up an extra couple pennies for some culls. I mean, you had to get rid of them anyways, and now you're just helping the circle of life, and someone else can buy them and feed their fish some high protein.
Well, let's see how I did after all these calls. Now, don't forget, I called already twice. That meaning taking all the wild strain out, the vast majority of the whites that, or the translucent that I knew weren't going to do anything. And this is what I've got left. There's still a lot.
This is all the fish that we got out of the two 15-gallon tanks. You note the blue on this one. Yeah, it started out as translucent. A lot of translucent ones will turn blue, believe it or not. There are some white with some black in there that I'm going to keep, and there's some light colored fish that may turn out half decent. These are all the fish that we took out of the 40-gallon tank that I think may turn into something half decent. they're going to be staying in the 90-gallon tank where they're going to get a little more high protein fish food, and we'll be watching them a little bit closer. I think we'll be surprised by a few of them. At least I hope we're pleasantly surprised. It's all bonus from here on in.
Well, these are the ones that were actually in the 40-gallon, and I've now divided them into groups of 2, and they're in the 2 15-gallon tanks. There's not a ton of room for them in there, but I should get better growth. I've upped the filtration with hang on the back filters and sponge filters, so I'm expecting much better growth. And because somebody who didn't design this that great, you don't really get that great a view of these, but there's some nice ones in there. There's definitely going to be a few more diamonds in the rough there. Let's take a look at the 90-gallon tank where I'm going to be raising some of the fry from this year that I've kept so far. Some yet will still be called. I see one that's just asking me to be called that I don't know how I missed. Right there. But there's going to be some really nice fish in here. And I think I already showed you the diamond in the rough. Wow. Well, take a look at him again in a minute. You see this one fish here. I've got a bunch of, I shouldn't say a bunch. I've got several that have that same marking. Now, this is actually the one from last year that I thought was going to max out already, but it's still doing just as good or even better than it did last year. Colors held up perfectly. Love how deep that black is. That's just beautiful. That's going to be a keeper from now on. And hopefully it'll get a little bit bigger. It was actually a runt that I was concerned about keeping, but certainly glad I did. Now this is another of its siblings. See that tattletale black marking going up the fin or the dorsal? Really like that. We've got another example of that as well in this tank. Here's the other sibling there. The big ox to get out of the way. I really like that black on the dorsal. And it's so nice and deep. And if it turns around, that black line goes even further, as you can see. Now there are a couple of this year's fry in here that have grown really well, and I'll be keeping just to see how they do. This one here, it's like a silvery blue. The lighting in here just really doesn't do these guys justice.
Now here's our diamond in the rough. The black and blue on this fish is just going to be outstanding. Perfect body shape. But the black on that, oh wow, it's just going to stand out like there's no tomorrow. Mixed with the blue, this is going to be the fish to watch.
I've set aside some fish that are ready for sale right now. I'll have to get you to tell me what you think of them. And yeah, I've got the tank in behind me all set up. I'll probably wait until tomorrow before I film that again, just to let the colors get back. Because after moving them a couple times and scaring the heck out of them, it's best to let them settle in, get the colors back again, so you can really see the true colors that came out. These guys aren't real happy with me moving them and all, but These guys are the ones that are ready for sale right now. There's some pretty nice colors here. Yeah, I think there's some pretty nice colors in there. Some cool patterns. Some blues that are definitely going to come out now. Like I said, I just moved them, so there's definitely some pretty fish in here. And they'll all be ready to go out for sale right now. Some of them are pushing 4 inches, which isn't huge, but for a year old, that's not bad. Well, not even a year old. I guess that's about 6 months, 6.5 months. So for inside raised, for the most part, that's pretty good. These are the ones I'm going to grow up in the 40-gallon tank. They'll get probably a little extra special treatment of a little bit more brine shrimp than the others. I see something in these that aren't quite in the others. So they'll get spoiled a little bit more than the other fish. Not that the other ones are going to be mistreated in any way at all. Now, I wish this was a full spectrum light. Unfortunately, it only has blue and white lights. So if it had a red light in there, you would really see some of these colors pop. See if we can get a little bit better look. These colors will only intensify, and I really didn't, well, I didn't wait the full day. I just started filming because I got all excited to see them in this bigger tank. Now I'll put the plants back in it just because it'll eat up a little bit more nitrogen in here, and I can feed them a little bit more. With any luck at all, that diamond in the rough will be joining these guys in a couple years. It certainly has all the trademarks of it. Long fins, good shaped bodies.
Patterns and colors. We all hope to make a better broodstock, right? Better quality brood, better quality the fry, and you want to be known for good stock fish. That's definitely one of my goals, is to be known for quality fish.
Well, thank you for those who stayed and watched for my first ever live premiere. Well, sort of live. I really enjoyed chatting back and forth with those who watched, and I look forward to those who haven't seen it yet and are on the replay crew. If you liked it, hit that thumbs up, leave a comment, and I hope you've been chatting back and forth. Well, take care, everyone. We'll see you real soon. Again, thanks again. Bye now.